My name is Michael Hirshorne, and this is my story, but it could very well be yours. For the majority of my life, as with most people, I believe that things just happen to me. I might be going along just fine for a while and then suddenly experience something, let's just say, I'd rather not experience. As with many of us, there would be bouts of anxiety, self-doubt, anger, and of course the daily pressures of day-to-day stuff. I felt like I was a pinball, for those of you who lived through the 70s and 80s, bouncing around from bad experiences to good and back again, all the while actually believing I had no control over what was occurring in my life. I was a sleepwalker, and I was sleepwalking through the only reality that I knew. When my son was born in 2005, my life started going in a direction that previously was unimaginable. You might say I was jarred from my sleep and became very much aware that the way I perceived my world would be much different from this point forward. This innocent miracle of life that we were all looking forward to entered into the world with a condition known as pulmonary atresia. He was born as blue as a blueberry, with little oxygen circulating in his veins and arteries. The doctors told us that he would need angioplasty, and within 3 days did undergo the procedure. After months of blood thinner injections, oxygen therapy, and many stress-filled days and nights, our son started improving. During much of that time, my wife and I questioned our faith, the meaning of life, and why God would allow such a thing to happen to good people such as ourselves. I began exploring spirituality by studying Kabbalah, known by some as Jewish mysticism, reading books by Greg Braden, Wayne Dyer, Deepak Chopra, and just about anything else spiritual that I could get a hold of. It was around this time that I also discovered a book on audio called Conversations with God. It was a trilogy written by Neale Donald Walsch that I would listen to just about every day I commuted to work. I was so drawn into its content that I would no sooner finish listening to the material than deciding to start from the very beginning again. It felt as though God was actually trying to communicate with me personally, using the author as a vehicle to do so. I'm quite certain that I have listened to all 20 some odd CDs at least 6 times, and would highly recommend this program to anyone who wishes to get a better understanding of how it all truly works. My life has started its transformation. I didn't exactly know where I was going, but at least I was starting to understand that if I couldn't stop the wind, I could change the direction of my sail. In a relatively short period of time, I found myself living out the life that was previously reserved for what I imagined was a select few enlightened individuals. I would wake up at odd hours of the night with verse in my head that I knew just had to be recorded. Sometimes think of ideas relating to a book, songs, and even a movie. The creativity was flowing, and there was no way I could or even wanted to stop it. I was determined that I would now be the cause of what occurred in my life, and not at the effect of it. Fast forward a few months down the road, and I find myself traveling south on I-95, approaching the Delaware Memorial Bridge. I noticed what appeared to be a relatively small cloud in the distance, with lightning flashes directly behind it, an odd occurrence on an otherwise clear day. As if that wasn't strange enough, the clouds seemed to have finger-like appendages that were beckoning me forward. Within seconds, the sky blackened and unleashed a fury of rain so intense that every car within sight could do nothing but pull over and wait. The rain was followed by hail the size of golf balls that seemed quite intent on going through the roof of my vehicle. At this point, I knew that there was nothing more I could do except pray. I would later find out from the toll booth attendant that a tornado had passed within several hundred feet of the bridge that I and several dozen other motorists were stuck on. This little display of nature was without a doubt the most harrowing experience of my life. The rain and hail had stopped just as suddenly as they began. The sun came out, and the dark clouds that were there just seconds earlier appeared to just fade away. I looked up and asked, quite literally, "Okay, what was that all about?" As if I was in a Tom Cruise movie and perfectly on cue, a semi-tractor trailer truck rolled on by the opposite side of the highway with the words, "You have just seen the future of your life." I would like to introduce you to your life and what it can become. Welcome to the awakening.